So today I'm going to share something that I think is really fun. I'm going to share a little bit of automation on a Kobra Go. I'm going to share with you how to be able to automatically remove a print and how to automatically start a new print. That print could be identical to the first print, or it could be a completely different part from the first print. But I think this is something that's really fun, and I hope that you enjoy. So for this part I had to put down just a little bit of glue because the part that I'm printing is a single wall of filament, and I wanted to make sure that it was going to stick. Doesn't mean that you have to put down glue for every part that you're going to use this for, but for this one I just wanted to make sure that it didn't pop off the bed because of how thin the wall is. For small parts, you want to either tape on a piece of paper out the front of the deck plate along here, or you want to slip a sheet of paper in between the magnetic plate and the deck so that when it pushes the part off, it'll deflect it away, that it won't fall down inside the printer. Alright, so I added a piece of code in where the print head is now going to go to the back. It's going to lower down, and then it's going to push that part off the front of the build plate before it goes to print the second part. Now I've added a piece of code as well that it will do a homing cycle, and it's going to do a prime line just like it did before it starts the next print. And so here we go, it's starting the next one. If you're interested in learning how to do this, stick around and I'll walk you through. What you're going to need is you're going to need your preferred slicer. You're going to need Notepad++, and you're just going to need a little bit of patience, and I'll walk you through, and I promise you I'll make it as easy as possible, and I'll explain the steps. Alright, so I've already got Notepad++ opened up on the left here. It's a free piece of software that you can download for being able to open G-code files. In other words, files that have been sliced already. So we're going to get to that in a moment. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about Cura and the slicer that I happen to be using here. So I want you to know that this is just a test file that I'm experimenting with, and hopefully this will assist you to be able to test. The idea is that we're going to automatically remove this from the bed and then be able to come back and be able to either print a second one, a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one, or print a completely different print. So the sequence is going to be that we're going to lay down some 2 lines of filament over here, and that's purely to prime the print head. We're going to come over and we're going to print this. The print head will lower down, come forward, push this off the build plate. Ideally you'll have a sheet or something to guide it away from the printer. Then the print head will come over, it will lay down 2 more lines priming the nozzle, but it's going to be shifted over slightly, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Then it will come and print the second one in my case, but it could be a completely different print, and you can do multiple prints. So but before we get into that, one item that I wanted to identify, I'm not using build plate adhesion. In other words, I don't have a skirt or a brim around this part, because when we go to push this part off, we won't be able to push that skirt or brim, and it's going to be in the position of where we want to print again. Now, as you get more advanced, you can always have your second print show up in a different location on the print bed. I've already sliced this. I've already saved it to the disk as a production test. So I will be opening that in Notepad++ momentarily. But before we go there, it's important for you to be able to look at the machine settings of your printer. And there's the actual print configuration that I'm using. The portion that I want to identify to you is the start code and the end code. It's going to be very important for you to recognize this in Notepad++ of the file once it has been sliced. Mine may look different than yours only because I've customized it I used Cura to be able to calibrate the E-steps for the extruder, and I placed it here so that every single file that I slice will have the calibrated E-steps already done. I have a video on how to do that, and I'll put the link to that at the end of this video. This bottom portion here is where it creates those two priming stripes on the build plate before I actually print. So it's here in the start code. It will do it for every single, you want to be able to identify this so that you're able to identify it on the left, and I will talk about that in a moment. But before I do, I wanted to bring over the Marlin website just so that you, as you get into this, when you're reading the G code, if there is a code that you are not familiar with and you want to know what it does, you're able to come to Marlin. You can just type the code here, and it's basically going to tell you what that code does down the bottom here. And then you can come over here and you're able to actually read the code. So for instance, if I just look at M105 and I don't know what it is, I can come over here and I can type M105 and I hit enter, and it's telling me that it reports the temperatures. Okay, so I could come here and I can place a semicolon. Anything after a semicolon is just a note. It does not have any effect on the code when it's actually being executed. So I can type in here that it report report temp. Okay, so this is a way for you to be able to mark up the code so that you don't have to memorize all of them. Eventually you'll start to memorize some of them, but anyways, I just wanted to let you know that's an easy way to be able to mark up notes. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to come back over here, and so right here we see the beginning of the start code is Ender 3 custom start G code. So I found it right here. It says Ender 3 custom start G code. So but what I'm going to do in capitals, because I want to be able to easily identify it, is I'm writing start production in uppercase. I'm going to come down to the end here, and although you see the G1, X5, etc. is the end of the start G code, I'm going to take it all the way down to this line here where it's resetting the extruder before we go to print, and it does the retraction that is set into Cura here. So I'm going to mark this because I'm going to copy and paste this whole thing down below when we go to start the next print. So I'm still going to mark this start production, and then at the end I will mark the end code the same way. But before I get there, I want to show you one other feature in this, and that is that you can easily mark items that you're editing. So the way to do that is I've highlighted it. It says find what start code, start production, excuse me. I'm going to mark all. So now I close this. So now when I'm come back looking for this, it's very easy for me to be able to find it. So easy to add notes, easy to mark things so that you can see them. So I'm going to move down the bottom now because I need to do a little bit of manipulation down the bottom in order to be able to set up that second print. So I'm scrolling down and now I'm looking for the end code. Okay, so I already know that right here we're switching the bed off right at the end of the finishing of this. So I want to make note of that. So turn bed off. So I'm just putting it there so that I remember that that's what it is. This one, M107, and I just have this memorized, is turn fan off. Now, I don't want either of those activities to take place here, so I'm going to be moving that, and I will show you where I will move it to momentarily. So if I move down and I look and I see right here, present print, this is where I'm going to want to be introducing some code and introduce my next print. Right after that, you're going to see turning off the fan, turning off the hot end, turning off the bed, and those I'm going to save for after my second print. You can push this all the way down to if you want to do 5 prints or however many prints you want to do. So now I'm just going to move this down a bunch of rungs, and I'm going to take these 2 lines here and I'm going to cut them. I'm using the Control X command and I'm going to paste them right here. So now it's turn off bed and turn off fan. I've moved them so that will not happen at this point in the program anymore. So now, right after the present print, what I'm going to do is I want to enter the commands to move the, push the print off the bed. So I'm going to type in G1, which is a move command. Excuse me, that's bad practice. When you're doing moves where you're not extruding filament, you should be putting G0 is the good practice. So I want to move the X axis to the 110 position. Okay, then after I've moved to the 110 position, I want to be moving the Z axis to 5 millimeters above the bed. Then I want to be moving the Y axis, and this is where we're actually going to push the print off the bed. So I want to move to the home position, so I'm putting Y0. So this is where and I'll just put a note here, push print off bed. So you can do that anywhere that you want. So once I've done that, I want to copy my start code again, just as a precaution, as good practice. I'm resetting, I'm starting from 0. So I'm going to scroll on up and I'm going to grab that code. So it's right here. So I can easily just, I'm going to copy and paste it. So copy, I move back down, I'm going to grab the bar because otherwise you're going to be doing a lot of scrolling. I move it down and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to paste it. All right, now that I have pasted in the start code again, I want to adjust the positioning of those priming lines. And as you can see here on the X position, you've got a difference between 0.1 and 0.4, so it's 0.3. And I want to shift my priming line safely over, so I'm going to go to 0.7. I'm going to go to 0.7, and then I will add 0.3 just like the previous. So I'm going 1.0, 1.0. Now my priming line will be offset from the original, that I won't be dragging the nozzle through the filament. Now, what is the item that I want to print? One of 2 things. If I want to do a repeat of this print here, I will show you how to quickly grab all that code and copy and paste it. The alternative is that you open up another file that you want to print and you're going to grab it here. And you could paste it in here. You could paste the start code from that second file if you've altered any of the information that is in here. But I'm just going to repeat this one and show you at the same time how quick and easy it is to be able to grab all that data. So it's just a matter of finding the start lines, and that's right there. And you come into edit and you're going to go begin the selection. So that's the first line that I want to copy. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'm going to grab all the way to push print off bed. So I click here, I go back, and it's edit, and I'm going to click it again. It's just highlighted everything. Now I'm going Control C. I come down to the end of the start of the production code, and I'm just going to paste it right there. So there you have it. You're going to hit save, and now you can take that file, put it onto your SD card, and put it into your printer and test it out. So I highly recommend that you try it and test it with a few different parts. I wouldn't do it with anything significant, a few little test parts. And as I mentioned, if you're interested, I do have a video on how to be able to calibrate the steps of the extruder using Cura. I also have a video on the switching on of the bed leveling and switching off of the fade function here. I'll post both those videos. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, and please test it out and let me know how it goes. I would love to hear back from you.